There are a number of laws in this week's Torah portion that pertain to Kohanim, to priests. Even today, a Kohen is not allowed to participate in a funeral unless it's for one of his closest relatives or unless no one else is available. Back in the times of the Holy Temple, a blind or a lame Kohen was not allowed to perform the service. And back in those days, the Kohanim, the priests, did not work. They were supported by the community. And even to this day, a Kohen is prohibited from marrying a divorcee. Now, to be sure, there are certain advantages to being a Kohen. A Kohen is the person who's called up for the first aliyah to the Torah. A Kohen is the person who leads the grace after meals. A number of years ago when I was playing in a softball league in Israel, we had a Kohen on the team. And so we submitted a question to our rabbi, namely, did we have to let the Kohen bat in the leadoff spot? I don't remember the exact answer, but it was something along the lines of, if he's about as good as any other potential leadoff hitter, then why not? He's a Kohen. But still, to our liberal Western ears, these laws and prohibitions seem unfair, if not harsh or cruel. Why shouldn't a Kohen be allowed to bury his best friend? And you'd think that there would be a Kohanim with Disabilities Act in the Torah, or that the League or Union of Disabled or Blind Kohanim would file a grievance or a lawsuit to try to stop this law from going into effect. And why shouldn't a divorcee whose first marriage didn't work out be allowed to marry a nice Mr. Cohen or Mr. Katz? And why can't the Kohen work? It's easier to live off the dole, but it's less rewarding psychologically. To understand the answer to these questions, we have to realize what it is that the Kohen represents. Kohanim are meant to remind us of two bygone eras, two periods in history that were unlike any other. The first was the anti-lapsarian or pre-lapsarian age. That's a fancy word that refers to the brief period of time that Adam and Eve lived in the Garden of Eden, in Gan Eden, before they were evicted after their sin. And that period arose again in similar fashion, briefly, between the time that the Jews received the Torah at Mount Sinai until the sin of the golden calf. During those two time periods, which the Kohanim are meant to represent, there was immortality. None of those people would have died if not for the sins of eating from the tree and the sin of the golden calf. And so the Kohanim are restricted from coming into contact with the dead. At the time of the giving of the Torah and back in the Garden of Eden, there was physical perfection. There was no blindness or lameness. In fact, we're told that the blind and lame were healed at Mount Sinai. So a blind or a lame Kohen is not allowed to perform the service in the temple. The Jews at the time they received the Torah did not have to work. They were receiving manna from heaven. Nor did Adam and Eve have to work until after they were punished, and man was told that he would have to toil for a living. And so the Kohanim don't work. They're supported by the community. And divorce during those two periods was unthinkable. Consider, Adam and Eve were one being until God separated them into two so that they'd come back together as one flesh. For them to get divorced would be like your right hand filing for divorce from your left hand. And so the Kohen is not allowed to marry a divorcee. And now that we understand this, we can gain a better understanding of a very difficult passage from the very beginning of the Torah. Back in Genesis, when God confronts Adam, he asks him, "Did you eat from the tree of which I commanded you not to eat?" And Adam says to God, "The woman that you gave me to stand with me, she gave me the fruit and I ate it." Now that seems at first glance like Adam is not only blaming his wife, but blaming God in a monstrous act of ingratitude. But maybe there's more going on than meets the eye. Maybe he's actually offering a very compelling explanation to God. God, we were one being. I didn't think to ask her where the fruit came from. As the great Vizini would say, it was inconceivable that she would do something to harm me. I didn't realize that she ate from that tree, that she had tasted evil, and then acted for the first time selfishly because she was scared of being alone. And now that we understand all this, the next time you see your friendly neighborhood Kohen walking around, think about what it is that he represents. Think about those two time periods of which he's trying to remind us. Time periods that involved immortality, perfection, wholeness, completeness, marital bliss, ultimate closeness to God, so that we can aspire to re-reach those lofty levels.